Ladies and gentlemen, please turn on your microphones. Calling to order the Tuesday, September 6th, 2022 meeting of the Sugarland Development Corporation. Do we have any public comments? Is anybody signed up? Is
No,
there
sir,
anybody
we
in the
have
room?
No public comment signed.
Anybody in the room who would like to speak? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion approved.
Okay,
Second.
all right, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, number 4, resolutions. Consideration of and action on Sugarland Development Corporation Resolution Number SLDC-R-22-02. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Sugarland Development Corporation adopting a policy on granting economic development incentives to qualifying companies and repealing resolutions number 060902 and 2016-05-03. Alba Pinate Johnson, Senior Business Development Manager. Take it away, Alba.
So good afternoon, board members. Today I'll be presenting an update to the direct incentive guidelines with the resolution just named. So a little bit of background, the Sugarland Development Corporation, also SLDC, is a special economic development corporation authorized by state statute and approved by the voters of Sugarland in 1993 for the purpose of supporting economic development activities on behalf of the city. The SLDC is funded by a special 1/4 cent sales tax, and the Sugarland Development Corporation implemented the first direct incentive program in October of 2006 and updated the program in 2016. The update in 2016 altered the targeted industry list to be further consistent with the strategic plan and current practice at that time. It also increased the minimum number of required primary jobs and annual average salary. Also, the required capital investment, and added a minimum requirement for square footage and capital investment for leasing tenants. This program has brought opportunities to expand, construct, and relocate businesses to the city, and it also ensures that Sugarland remains an economic powerhouse within the Houston region. So the mission of the direct incentive guidelines has always been to encourage certain new businesses to locate or expand within the city for purposes of stimulating the local economy, by providing additional employment opportunities and by expanding the tax base. So most recently, as you may know, this program allowed us to be aggressive in our approach to the CBR Services LLC agreement, and we were able to successfully retain a headquarters location and a target industry with this program. So in April of 2021, City Council yourselves approved a contract with Ernst & Young to conduct a workforce and target industry analysis. This analysis was the first phase of a 2-part process to update our strategic plan and to use for immediate use and recruitment efforts. Stemming from this analysis, 5 industry clusters were recommended for future targeting efforts and do build upon the city's existing key sectors to leverage aligned opportunities for additional employment growth and capital investment. So economic development staff has made modifications to the guidelines to be further consistent with this study. The proposed modifications are to update the target industries to advanced manufacturing, business and professional services, life sciences, and information technology. The 5th cluster, tourism, is supported under our Visit Sugarland program. Other minor changes include removing small warehouses and recycling facilities from the list of approved projects. We will only move forward with projects that meet guideline requirements, including the NAICS codes under the Government Code 501 for receiving incentives, in which the SLDC determines falls into one or more of the classifications. But do feel that the 2 categories mentioned would not be adequate projects for the redevelopment stage that we're in and for the land that we do have left. All other existing requirements to qualifications will remain the same within the guidelines. We do also understand that there is a gap for support to a different type of project or business. So I did want to say that our staff will continue to use the data from this study to evaluate and create different incentive programs for retention of our businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurships, and startups. We want to be able to bridge that gap and attract new businesses, but also retain our businesses at the same time. So with that, staff does recommend approval of resolution number SLDCR 22-02, adopting the target industries to further strengthen the policy on granting economic development incentives. This action will also repeal the previous resolutions from 2006 and 2016. Are there any questions?
Anybody?
Motion approved.
A motion from Kamali, second by
Second.
Watley. All in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, 6-0. Thank you very much,
Thank
Alma.
you.
Number 5, contract. Consideration of and action on authorization of a marketing contract between the Sugarland Development Corporation, the Sugarland 4B Corporation, and Development Counselors International Limited in the amount of $157,650 for the fiscal year 23 integrated marketing program for a total contract amount of $335,340. And we have Melissa Raju, senior marketing manager, and Kat Saunders. Is Kat with us? DCI Senior Vice President of Client Strategies. Melissa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll be bringing forward the contract consideration of a 12-month integrated marketing program for the Office of Economic Development with DCI. As we look ahead for contract year 3, we will continue to implement an integrated marketing strategy by leveraging DCI's expertise to do the following: refresh and promote positive storylines unique to Sugarland, Texas, engage target industries and audiences, reinforce foundational marketing work, identify new opportunities to increase national and regional awareness, integrate the positioning of Sugarland as a premier travel destination into our messaging, and sophisticate Sugarland's digital presence through optimized content and cross-promotional campaigns. As you heard a couple weeks ago, for year 3, we will continue to support site selection by leveraging DCI's expertise in the field. We will continue to promote the city and alert consultants to positive news on a timely basis by drafting e-newsletters. We will continue to secure in-person and virtual appointments with site selection consultants to position Sugarland as an optimal location for business investment in the Houston metro area. Building upon past successful strategies while leveraging new opportunities, DCI will engage our media relations program to promote storylines unique to Sugarland, generate positive media coverage at the regional and national scale, and communicate Sugarland's business advantages in a highly credible manner. Our media relations campaign will employ strategies integrated with those of other services such as SEO and digital marketing in order to maximize the potential and the reach of our media relations program. And we will continue to target 1 to 2 media journalists to showcase the city's business and lifestyle assets. Lastly, we will continue to leverage DCI's expertise in marketing to offer our team communication support when needed. Now, let's take a look at the digital support that we will be offered in year 3. To continue to build off the investment of our website, DCI will develop up to 6 pieces of fresh content. This content will most likely support the Sugarland success stories and highlight successful business activity in this city. DCI will work alongside the Sugarland Office of Economic Development to support a robust social strategy across our social platforms. As we build off a tremendously successful year that we saw on our LinkedIn account nearly doubled its followers, we will continue to post content that resonates with current and new audiences. And we'll develop a social media strategy tailored for each social channel. Alongside social media, DCI will support our office with outreach to community stakeholders. Now let's take a look at a few new projects that we'll be focusing on in contract year 3. The Sugarland Office of Economic Development will work with DCI to organize and execute an event to target consultants and key target industry-focused individuals. To bolster a social media strategy, DCI will perform a social media audit and competitor analysis on all existing social media channels, and that includes our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram for both the Office of Economic Development and Visit Sugarland. And make recommendations on what channels are resonating with audiences and which ones aren't. And lastly, through cross-promotional digital advertising campaigns and tailored digital marketing assets, we will engage target audiences to generate leads and build Sugarland's online presence. Now, let's review the budget terms and conditions. We are proposing a 12-month integrated marketing program for a total of $335,340. That includes similar services from year 2. Cost would be shared between 4A and 4B, which is broken down into 4A paying $157,670 and 4B paying $177,670. We are requesting SL4B to pay an additional $20K to support marketing activations for Sugar Land's hospitality business community like hotels and our destination venues. As you can see on the screen, the fees expenses are broken down into professional services, which are paid monthly, and projected expenses are paid as needed. I'm going to leave this slide here for a little bit. Something to keep in mind is that contract year 3 is going to be $26,200 less than last year's contract because we have continued to refine our scope of services for contract year 3. Now, just for your reference, we have expensed $268,790.94 in this year's contract, the current contract that we're in, and we are expecting a cost savings of approximately $40,000. Now, the next steps, we brought the contract consideration to SL4B today. They have approved it, and now we are bringing this for contract consideration to the SLDC. And if approved today, the contract will begin on October 1st. Any questions?
Questions, anyone?
$335,000 is a lot of money. If we did nothing at all, what would it look like in a year?
If we did nothing?
If we just said we're not doing this anymore, we don't have any better ideas, what would it look like in a year for the city of Sugar Land?
We wouldn't have any visitation to our website. We probably wouldn't have as much engagement on our social media. We probably wouldn't have the manpower capacity within our current staff to build success stories between our businesses in the area. Specifically more the paid digital strategy, which involves us creating robust keyword strategies as far as like typing in if you're looking to relocate or expand your business in Sugar Land, like manufacturing in Sugar Land, information technology companies in Sugar Land, electric companies in Sugar Land, just to name a few of those examples. That's just a job in itself to be able to do that. So if we didn't have DCI to support us, or if we just said, all right, we're not going to do this, it would severely impact our digital strategy. And if you're not active on digital or just have an online presence, you really just are nothing at this point.
If I may follow up on that. So have we looked at other ideas to generate similar interest, and are we tracking in the form of effectiveness, these programs effective turning into dollars, or how do we know that Sugar Land is leading or attempting to lead just because of clicks or LinkedIn friends, because you could add those by the dozen daily just by going, hey, I know Nishad and I know Suzanne, and tell me how this $335,000, how does it turn into new businesses or new residents or whatever? Is there another way, help?
Okay, yes, absolutely. So an example to help answer that question would be the NPR coverage that we received not that long ago. That NPR coverage secured us a total of 10 stories, which generated approximately 68 million media impressions, which that would have cost us approximately $660,000 if, let's say, we didn't have DCI support to do that. To answer the second part of your question, it's really hard to kind of track that as far as like, what are we getting for this? Like, I could tell you our KPIs, like how we're performing on social media, how we're performing on our website, but as far as like being able to track the earned media that we're getting, that's a big focus of what DCI is helping us on, and we wouldn't be able to do that. So what that's doing for us, it's building credibility. It's positioning us as a strategic location for business investment, as a premier travel destination, and it's keeping us top of mind.
If I may, do you mind? And this is helping me a lot. Credibility with whom?
With other cities that, for example, like on the tourism side, this probably is applicable, but if I went to El Paso, they didn't know who Sugar Land was. So just kind of like showcasing like what Sugarland is to different cities.
And the fact that they know what, where, or who we are does what for us. Again, I think I'm looking at this maybe differently, because you've opened the floor to comments. As a business, if we were looking at this as a business and pick any one of our businesses, would I invest $335,000 as a business, not a government, as a business, and say, this is where I need to invest the money to grow my business? If there's a way you can show me $335,000 is growing our city in some way, I think I might understand better. I'm just sitting here going, I hear the same thing every time, every
Right.
presentation. I'm like, what is this changing necessarily?
Right, so in contract year 3, which is what we're presenting today for you to, for the board to approve. One of our strategies for year 3 is to incorporate tourism, which, as you heard Alba talk about, is one of our key industry sectors. So whenever we start pitching more on the tourism side, we'll be able to track and tell the story of like this story, this paid digital strategy, this campaign helped us drive X amount of visitation to the city, which drove visitation to our primary destination venues. So that in contract year 3, we'll be able to tell you, but I can't tell you the DCI contract has helped us secure business per se.
So is there another idea, or is this our only idea for 335? Is there, did we think, hey, you know, let's invest it and maybe consider this area, or do we just continue to with this relationship? I'm not saying it's a negative at all.
Right.
I'm just trying to understand, are we looking outside of our box going, hey, you know what, we've not tried this, or we've not tried that. And that's what private businesses have to do. They go, you know what, that's great. It made me feel good for a couple of years, but you know, I'm struggling to keep the doors open or not.
Right.
And so that's what I'm asking, just sort of a, instead of just keep going, yes, year in, year out. Is there a better idea, or have we looked at another idea? I don't know.
Kat, I'm gonna lean on.
Yeah, I would just add that we've changed the program each year. We've had a different approach to the strategy for this. And economic development marketing is hard because we're not selling like a specific product, we're selling the place. And so our goal is really to create that top of the funnel awareness level so that as people are engaging, you know, we already know that the business audience is interested in Texas. You're in a great state for business. So then when they're interested in Texas, we want them interested in the Houston region. And then our next step down as they work their way down the funnel and kind of a customer journey approach is to want to look at Sugarland. And that's what we do, is help drive that awareness so that as people are exploring locations for business. And just as a reminder, we're focused on external audiences. So we don't get involved in the day-to-day, just supporting the existing business community, which is already, you know, the staff is already very, busy with already. We are working on those external audiences that don't know about what Sugarland can offer within the metro. So that's a lot of what we're focused on. We have changed, you know, the first year you were building a website, the second year we were refining it. This year we're adding content and working on the SEO and, you know, digital ad campaign to complement that. So you didn't even have a tool before. And as that site was built, we didn't build the site, but we're working, you know, with the team, the staff, Melissa, Elizabeth, Dev, and their team to make sure that all the investment in things that you're doing there locally has eyes on it, so that we're getting people's eyeballs on it, so that they have that awareness. And with your new industry target, your target industry sectors, we're also refining all the language around that. We've shifted all of our paid campaigns to hone in on the specific sectors that E&Y identified for targeting. So we've switched all the kind of behind the scenes toolbox on how your paid campaigns are working too. So it's just, you know, constantly refining that approach to marketing. Our goal for this year is to really elevate that sophistication level. There was a real building level, and now we're more in a, how do we even make this better? So that's really why a lot of the tactics changed for year 3.
Hey, so Kat, I want to make sure that you don't think for a second even that I'm being critical of you or DCI.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone knows, especially our community knows, that we're always looking at new creative ideas. And if there is no way to measure the productivity of DCI to dollars returns, that's okay, as long as that's the expectation, if I may say that. Or we find out that if we just paint all the street control boxes blue, people talk about it all over the world. I have no idea. But that's why I'm asking our team, if we've looked at other options, again, nothing critical of DCI, but have we looked at other options for 335,000? That's maybe my best guess.
So we went out, I'm gonna step in here real quick. We went out for RFP 3 years ago. DCI really are, like, they are the leading experts in the tourism and economic development industry. So, and then I also want to mention, like, Melissa, Kat, they meet weekly. They have very difficult conversations. They say, hey, you're not delivering on this, or hey, we have higher expectations. Why aren't we in this media outlet? Like, why aren't they responding? We've been talking to Forbes for how many months now? Trying to position the Space Cowboys story. Space Cowboys was like a huge deal. We would not have gotten anywhere near the amount of publicity that we did if we hadn't been working with DCI. Like, those are real tangible things that, like, did the Astros play a part? Did we collaborate on some of the media, the press releases, the conversation that was happening? Absolutely. But they're just as short-staffed as we are and are trying to build their own team internally. And so it's really hard. The 4B asked the same question of, like, what are the ROIs? How do we do this? We're never, most likely, 99% sure that we're never going to be able to say, hey, company ABC over here landed in Sugar Land because of our contract with DCI or because of this article that we were in. That's just not possible. But I mean, it could happen, but it's unlikely. Like, we can't measure the success of the contract based on that, because then we would never have the success.
That's actually a great answer because you're setting real expectations, and I appreciate that.
Okay, does anybody else want to on this?
Oh, please.
Jennifer?
She just went over the return on investment, like typically what happens after a 3-year period in the past, what they've done with other clients. And is DCI going to do anything with the Dia de los Muertos coming up? In the sport?
So the Dia de los Muertos is actually partnering up with PCD. There's going to be a big event outside. So Reeves is supporting that. And on the tourism side, we will support that as well.
I understand, but that's, it's part of our storyline and attraction, tourism wise and things like that.
Absolutely. I can
Now
pitch.
it's going to be closer to the hotel.
Right.
Than it was at the.
That's a good question, Councilmember Lane. So the programming is just literally got rolled out. I haven't got all the final details from the partners, so I haven't really been able to share that with DCI, but absolutely everything we pitched to them, they try to help us with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So you can tell who owns their own businesses here. I had the same question. And I think the answer was basically a good answer that it's something we can't see, but it's there and it's valid. But the question I have for you, because you mentioned it, was the SEO. So DCI is running SEO for us. Do we have independent SEO for the city? Because when I type in William Ferguson, council member, I'm probably not going to get any feedback from DCI on that. But because our council members here are so involved in public areas in the city, do we have something separate and individual here for SEO?
For on the city's website? No.
We don't have an SEO engine. I mean, anything here locally?
That's not economic development yet.
Okay, so it's not here. Okay.
I was just gonna answer and say, the SEO, the web strategy, social strategy for the city flagship pages would fall under the communications department.
Okay, so, okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't be help.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know if what we have locally is being bled into DCI, because that's a big reach and we're very local.
When we do like support local campaigns, absolutely. When we did Sweet Cash, I mean, it was a huge thing during the recovery phase. DCI definitely helped us push that out. That is going to be one of our big focuses. So absolutely.
Okay.
Carol.
I was
One thing I was going to say is that DCI has really a vast breadth of contacts and stuff, external contacts that the city staff doesn't have. And so that's another, I think, component to this. And it's a little bit said hard to put an actual dollar figure on that,
Yeah.
but they do have a lot more contacts than what our staff does throughout the country.
$1 figure that we do provide in all of the monthly reports that are given to the team is that we do earn media value. So it's a similar placement, what it would cost to place that ad. We give that value, that advertising equivalency. And normally the return on investment minimum is 3 or 4 to 1. With the NPR hit alone, I think we were at what was it, $300,000 at equivalency on that. And the media relations program is only allocated $90,000 a year. So just to give you some context of where those different buckets kind of fall within our budget and scope, that might be helpful. And that is on the monthly reports as well.
Anything else? Michelle?
I was just gonna add, since the three of you were not in 4B, I did ask a very similar question, but a little bit differently. What if we didn't spend the 340,000 and we hired 2 people and spent $200,000 on people? And the answer came out, the contacts that, as Carol even mentioned, that they have, the reach that they have at DC Isle.
Yeah, you know, you do the things that make you special, you outsource everything else. Okay. we
So
have a motion.
may I reply to that?
Yeah, sure.
Because I know you're an entrepreneur. As I think of this, I just want what is best for the city. And it may be DCI. But are we looking at other options? That I don't know. That's a honest, I don't know. And so if we're not, I would say we should, just to be competitive and say, you know what, DCI is the rock star. But if we're not looking at other options, I feel like we're just continually rolling the ball down the street. And I'm like, well, why haven't we kicked it up on the sidewalk yet? You know, whatever. And that's all I'm saying is I see these numbers, because this isn't our first meeting about this. You know, it is recently, but is there another option for us? I don't know.
What would we lose if we switched companies?
I mean, the best way to try to answer that, your question is, so we're rolling into a contract year 3. We've refined our scope of services just a bit. Obviously, I'm gonna come back for a 6-month recap. And if you still feel like you have these questions and we are assessing like, okay, this isn't working out, this is working out, then we would make a recommendation to see what else is out there. We're not afraid to jump on a call with them or have those hard conversations and say, we don't like this. For example, they did creative services, graphic design for us. I wasn't a huge fan of their graphic design services, so I wasn't afraid to tell them like, we're not gonna work with you on graphic design. So that was a service that we eliminated. So that's what we would do in cases like that, to see what else is out there if what they're offering isn't working for our office.
Jennifer?
So we have a link to the contract somewhere. It's, okay.
Carol?
So this is the 3rd year of a 3-year contract, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so now you're gonna revisit, I guess, for year 4, the next year.
It all
So
depends,
take-
like on the 6-month recap, just to see how it goes. We have bi-weekly meetings and I have one-on-one meetings with Kat to kind of discuss how everything is going. But obviously, you know, if it's not meeting the standards that we wanted to, then that's when we'll make an internal recommendation. We will absolutely bring that recommendation to y'all to let you know, like, hey, we've been pitching DCI for the past 3 years. They're not working out for us. We've heard you loud and clear, and we've paid attention to everything that's been working, and we're gonna pivot and go this direction. So.
You know, if we've been building up so much momentum over the last couple of years, so many activities are in progress. I think we need to continue this so that we can actually realize some of the goals that we've been having. And with that, I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, further discussion. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Okay, any against, please raise your hand. Okay, so we have 5-4, we have Ferguson is against. Okay, thank you all, everyone. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you so much.
All right, number 6, budget. Consideration of and action on amending the fiscal year 2022 budget projections, adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget, and a recommendation of the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget to the members of City Council. We have Scott Butler, Director of Budget and Strategy.
Good afternoon. For today, first of all, just as a reminder, we reviewed this from a workshop perspective back on August 2nd with the committee. We have not made any changes since that meeting. So today there's two actions. One is to amend the FY22 budget projections. The other is to basically approve recommending the FY23 budget to council for adoption with the budget on the 20th. This is what the FY22 summary projections looks like. We talked about additional revenue that came in on the sales tax side. So originally we were projected to we were going to dip into fund balance in the original budget that was adopted, but based on that additional revenue, instead the net income is positive for the year. So our ending fund balance projected for FY22 is that 7.9 million. From a policy standpoint, we do want to have 15% of budgeted revenue. And so we reserve that. And then you can see the amount that we're over policy for FY22. For FY23, we follow financial management policies as far as budgeting revenue. There is an additional $4.8 million that is the SLDC's portion of the IRD reimbursement for the improvements at Constellation Field. The IRD is projected based on the assessed values to reach that $400 million threshold, which will trigger the reimbursement to the city for that. So it's an additional $4.8 million.
Scott, have they sold the debt yet? No?
No.
Okay.
Approved it. We have, but they, at the IRD meeting last week, they ended up having to delay the selling of the debt for the first portion because they had weren't clear in the beginning which was taxable and not taxable. So they had a discrepancy that they had to resolve.
Okay, thanks.
You also recall that we do have reserve for opportunity set aside from this. In the previous years, it has been $2 million. In order for us to be more aggressive, we bumped it up to $3 million, not only for FY23, but across the forecast. And then we continue to meet our fund balance and policy requirements. And just as a note, we've talked about both in the workshops and through this process that there is significant fund balances. So the opportunity for economic development to engage in opportunities to use that funding for to accomplish great things is there. Just a quick snapshot on the capital projects on the SLDC side. The only one there is their side of the reserve for the economic development office relocation pending whatever the final decision is for that. So half here and half in the 4B. Yes, sir.
Does a lease count as a capital project?
Does the lease count as
I
a
mean,
capital project?
if EcoDev is going to lease some space somewhere, does that?
If ultimately it's a lease, then the money wouldn't be a capital item, but the funding could still be there.
Nice. Thank you.
The funding can be used.
The funding could be used. If we're going to change it from capital operations, it would come back to us.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions about that? Okay, so as I mentioned, this is going to require two action items from the committee. First, to approve amending the FY22 budget to projections, and then the adoption of the proposed FY23 budget and recommending it to the council for adoption. So, Mr. Chair.
Questions, anyone? Okay, first we need a motion to approve amending the FY22 budget to projection. Anybody?
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
We got McCutcheon and we've got Kamali. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, 6-0. Now we need a motion to adopt the proposed FY23 budget and recommending the FY23 budget to City Council. Anyone?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Kamali, second.
That's right.
Ferguson. Okay, further discussion. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any against? 6-0. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Number 6, director's report. Number
right.
7, director's report. Thank
Good
you.
afternoon. Really quick for you, just to continue to talk, some successes in August with DCI. Obviously, they continue to optimize our Google ad campaigns, and we are seeing some results because we've seen an increase in our contact us page. People are signing up for our newsletter, and there's a lot more engagement with our website. We're continuing to refine that. We're seeing the results of that. Then in August, we continued to see month over month in conversions increasing for how long people are staying on our website, what the pages they're visiting. And we're getting more high quality and relevant audiences. So site selectors, real estate brokers, developers, businesses, end users. And then finally, excuse me, DCI did deliver the final Sugarland success story for Pink Zebra, which is one of our local businesses in our business park. Commenting on how they are headquarters that relocated to Sugarland from Kentucky, and just talk about them and why they chose Sugarland, the logistical advantages, and talked about them as a family-friendly, family-owned business. So that's all I've got. Hope y'all have a great evening.
Thanks. Anybody have any questions?
No questions on it.
Carol, you want to do that thing
Yes,
that you do so well?
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you all very much, everyone. Turn off the microphones now.
Just let them-